54 doctorates.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, I am 54. जितनी मेरी उम्र है उतनी आपकी उपाधियां है. Take us through that journey first.
I was born in a very, very poor family. 2 meals a day was a challenge,
Wow.
many days. And my father unfortunately died when I was just 6. In this book, the very first chapter is on Jio. 50 million customers he got in 83 days. So in my mother's name, I have created what is called as Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. She said, now I'm happy, now I can go. But at the same time, it worries me that there is India and there is Bharat. India is flying. What's happening to Bharat? The current innovation is more from more for less and less people. India matters to us. We want to matter to India more. Now here we are talking about Vikasit Bharat at 2047. And if their brains are not developing, what are you talking about?
There are leaders who give ideas. There are leaders who build organizations. But there are very few and very rare people who ensure that ideas serves millions. Today, I have a privilege to be with Dr. Mashelkar sir, who is not only a scientist, a visionary, so many things which I would not be able to explain in shorter period of time, but someone who has actually made impact over millions of lives and is still looking forward to continue doing the same. It's an honor to have you, sir, on Ek Disha Moments. Thank you so much for
Thank you very much. It's a special privilege.
honored, sir. Sir, early childhood. We all have heard stories, childhood and how it shaped you and then how it took you forward. So take us through that journey first.
Well, I was born in a very, very poor family in a village called Mashel. That is how I am Mashelkar, by the way. And this is a village in Goa. And my father unfortunately died when I was just 6.
Oh.
And my mother was illiterate. She never went to school. And in search of livelihood, she took me to Mumbai. And she could do any job that came her way so that we would have 2 meals a day. In fact, 2 meals a day was a challenge.
Wow.
Many days. I remember walking barefoot to the school till I was 12. I remember studying under street lights. Very harsh, poverty-stricken days. But in life you get a breakthrough, you know. And the breakthrough came during the secondary school certificate exam, 11th standard it used to be.
Yeah.
Not like now 10th or 12th,
Yeah.
11th standard.
Yeah.
And there used to be a board, SSC board of Maharashtra. And they used to declare the ranks at the end of the exams. And in 1960, which is long ago, I stood 11th among 135,000 students.
In 1960, more than 135,000 students, you were in top 11.
Top 11. And that is where I got Sir Durab Tata Scholarship.
Oh.
And that scholarship was just 60 rupees per month.
But in
60 rupees those days would be around 25,000 rupees today.
Wow.
So you could see I could take care of my household expenses at that time. So generous were Tatas, you know. And it was that which allowed me to study further. Now, it is very interesting that many people ask me what is the most powerful equation that you have encountered. There was a discussion on that, and somebody said it is Newton force equal to mass into acceleration. Somebody said Einstein, E equal to mc square. But when they asked me, I said none of these. It is E equal to F. Education equal to future.
Education equal to future.
And I prove it basically by my own example. And in fact, it is proven even more strongly on, I would say, 17 March 2000. 17 March 2000 in Rashtrapati Bhavan, they gave the Padma Awards. And K.R. Narayanan was the president at that time. And he gave the award, one after the other, Ratan Tata and me. Now, how does that prove the equation? Because but for the Tata scholarship, I would not have been able to study. But the same case was with K.R. Narayanan. Because K.R. Narayanan was also born in a very poor family. He also walked barefoot. His parents could not afford tuition fees. So he would stand outside the class and take notes. And one day, he got a Tata scholarship like me.
Wow.
And the rest of his career was made. And of course, he rose by the sheer dint of his own efforts and merit to the president, to become the president of
India.
Now, here is a case where a Tata scholar honors Tata himself and another Tata scholar.
Amazing. Very unique moment.
Very unique example of education equal to future, because K.R. Narayanan, the late president, built his future by education. I built my future by education. And that is why I always say that our maximum investment has to be in future.
Padma Vibhushan in 2000, and what that respect, not the award, what that respect changed within you?
Well, that was Padma Bhushan actually. 2000 was Padma Bhushan. I got Padma Vibhushan in 2014. You know, the way I look at it is like this. When the whole nation honors you, along with somebody legendary like Ratan Tata, what they are telling you is that you have a responsibility. This is a pat on your back, well done, but the best is yet to come, and there is a responsibility on you to live up to the honor that the nation has given you, because the nation expects you more. So I think awards like these are to me expressions of expectations to do even better.
And I think that is how, and that is why, and we'll talk about this in the next few moments. The book, More from Less for More.
Yes.
Right. This caption in itself is actually not only unique, but it catches the attention in a manner that how it is possible to think like this.
Yes. Yes. This is the book, More from Less for More.
Yes.
Right? And below that there is a line, Innovation's Holy Grail.
Yes.
Because this is the toughest challenge, to get more from less for more. Like you have said, how is it possible?
Yes.
That's why it's a holy grail. And I must acknowledge Sushil Bhole, who is my co-author, a fantastic young fellow who has contributed enormously to this conception as well as realization of this book. Now, the way it came out is like this. In 2008, I was honored by the Australian government, by the Australian Academy, of honorary fellowship of the Australian Academy. And the function was held in Canberra. And I was the first Indian to get this honor, 2008. And the Academy had existed for more than 50 years and they are not recognized in India.
Any India.
Yeah. So I said they don't know enough about India, because I could write the names of 100 people who are better than me, and they chose me. So I said, I must tell them something special about India. So the title of my talk was From Gandhi to Gandhian Engineering.
Yes.
More from less for more. Now, what did Mahatma Gandhi teach us? He says, Earth provides enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So there is a message. What he meant was that the resources are exhaustible. Don't finish them all. Use less and less of them to create more and more out of it, so that you can leave enough resources, more and more resources, for more and more generation, second generation, third generation. So this is what is more from less for more.
But when you talk of need and greed,
Yes, exactly. Now you would say, then in what way does it differ from the current innovation?
correct.
The current innovation is more from more for less and less people. For example, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, iPhone 17, they keep on becoming more and more expensive. All right? That is more from more. And less people can afford it
Correct.
because they are so expensive.
Ji.
So we are changing the paradigm. Then you would say, come on, more from less is known. Engineers always do it. Like we used to have this big bulky telephone, and today we have mobile which we can keep in our pocket.
Yes.
Isn't that more from less? Of course. It is more from less,
Right.
and more people use it. But the companies drive it for more from less for more profit. What I am saying is that
For
it
the
should be
masses.
more from less for more people.
Yeah.
That is the major difference. That is this book is all about. How do you create more from less for more people? What it means, just to illustrate the point further, what you are talking is that you are making a paradigm shift.
Absolutely.
Making high technology work for the rich, very easy. Making low technology work for the poor, very easy. But making high technology work for the poor is very difficult. So when you do more from less, you are using high technology, work for the poor. Point number one. Point number two, you are, by lowering the cost of production, making it affordable to the masses. That means despite income inequality, you can get access equality, which is a paradox. In other words, you are trying to create affordable excellence. Now, affordability and excellence means high quality don't go together.
Yes.
But they can go together. I mentioned about my mother. So in my mother's name, I have created what is called as Anjani Mashelkar Inclusive Innovation Award. Now we give that award to those who make high technology work for the poor. And this foundation was established in 2011, and we have given so far 14 awards. Now all these 14 awards, I am very proud to say, are created by young startups. And those young startups are different from our usual startups. Usual startups will go for valuations.
Correct.
These fellows will go for values, not valuation.
Wow.
Usual startups will go for making billions. These startups will go
reach
for bringing smile on the faces of billions by giving them access. As a result of this, and this is the brainwave of the president of Anjani Mashelkar Foundation, Sushil Bode himself, we created what is called as FX Healthcare. FX is Affordable Excellence.
Affordable excellence
Yes.
healthcare.
Yes. And what does it have? It has some of these equipment, basically, which are used in order to do health monitoring. Okay? For example, let me take one of these.
Ji.
Breast cancer.
Yes.
Now, if you see breast cancer, the maximum deaths are because breast cancer is detected late,
Yes. Not diagnosed on time.
not diagnosed early. So by the time you are stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, you spend lakhs of rupees on chemotherapy and you are gone.
Yeah. Correct.
Supposing it is detected at stage 1 or before that, it can make a big difference. But what is the difficulty in doing that for poor people who are living in villages? You require mammography, which is painful, which is expensive, which requires radiation, and which is not available in villages.
Yeah.
So, here is a breakthrough. This device is called iBreast.
iBreast.
Now, this is your breast. You just move it around and you can detect even a 1 millimeter tumor, small 1 millimeter tumor, which is not normally accessible.
Just a kind of a nano.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can test out and see whether it is malign or not, and so on and so forth. Now, this is made in India for the world, gone to more than 20 countries. More than 20 million women have been screened. In India itself, there are a lot of states, like for example, Goa, where I come from. You have they've screened some 2 lakh women.
Wow.
During the last 3 years or so, basically.
That's a big number.
Yeah, that's a big number. And this is done very cheaply, just 100 rupees. All right? Now, you can quite imagine that this is painless and non-invasive. And therefore, the women are not at all hesitant in going for this. Okay? For Asha workers, we did a camp recently. Because Asha workers do everything for us, we do nothing for them. So there was a Bala Manus, he said, we must do something for them. And out of 1,000, 6 turned out to have cancer, breast cancer.
Wow.
And it
Only
was
because of
detected by this, and they were put on treatment, so as to say. Take another thing. For example, take hemoglobin. Okay? Now, if you want to test your hemoglobin, what would you do? You would call somebody, he will take prick.
Yeah.
Then he will take the blood. He will
send it to the lab.
Yes, send it to the lab. And by afternoon, you will get a WhatsApp message what you do.
Yeah.
None of that is necessary. This is what is called an easy check. You just put your finger, put this here, okay? And there is a app that you have downloaded. You will get your hemoglobin number immediately.
Wow.
Cost 10 rupees. No prick, nothing. Okay? Now, what it does is that, India is like a tip of the iceberg. Below the iceberg, what remains, you don't know. For example, there is an organization called Sarupavardhini, of which I was the president. They look at the education of the poor children and so on and so forth. So they started using it. They did the screening of 10,000 young children in Pune. And you know how many were found anemic? 60%.
My God, 60%.
Anemic. Now, what does anemia do? Anemia is very bad because it doesn't take oxygen to the brain. All right?
The blood circulation is low. Yeah.
And that means the brain development doesn't take place. Now, here we are talking about Vikasit Bharat at 2047. Now, these are the young children who are going to build Vikasit Bharat.
Yes.
And if their brains are not developing, what are you talking about? Now, this would not have known if such easy device was not available. So, this is non-invasive. Okay? I'll give you another example. Other example is that you have your smartphone. You cough into it and you know where you have TB or not.
Wow.
How do you do that? Nowadays, we hear about artificial intelligence and so on and so forth. So, what the innovator has done is that he has trained the audiometry of the mobile phone with cough as a biomarker. So, when you have TB, the signature of the cough is different than when you have anemia or when you have COVID or when you have asthma. So, it can recognize that. Okay? And it is such a powerful science that it has been published in top class journals like Nature. Okay? And now the government of India is going to use that for wide screening. Cost is nothing, as you can quite clearly see. So compare, I'll just give a comparison, what we are talking about in terms of affordable excellence. For instance, you want to see your lung health condition, what is called as COPD, okay, chronic pulmonary diseases, obstructive pulmonary diseases. What you use is what is called a spirometer.
Correct.
Spirometer takes 1.5 lakh of rupees. Villages don't have them. Number two, spirometer test will take 30 to 45 minutes. Here it is few seconds, you just go. Spirometer will cost you the test 500 to 1000 rupees because there are technicians and others who are involved. Here,
negligible.
Nothing. Affordable excellence. You can quite clearly see what difference it makes. In fact, there are papers in Nature on the science that we have done. Give one more example. For example, AI, use of artificial intelligence. Our women in villages, for example, they get pregnant and they have to do monthly checkups. So they have to go by buses, change buses and all that, go to the medical center. So what Senthil, the young man, has done is create a wearable, basically, which you just wear, along with a device that is given. And 7 parameters are measured, which are critical for a pregnant woman, remotely, because it is all AI-driven, artificial intelligence-driven. Yeah, that's all. And then in the first trimester, you can predict whether the pregnancy is going to be safe or not. Even the nutritional pattern and the rest of it is predictable. So there is a safe pregnancy, healthy pregnancy, and it is so powerful an example that Harvard Business School has created a case study on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And there are 2.6 million, 26 lakh women on the platform today.
Wow.
In fact, in one of the villages, there is a record, the weight at birth of a son that was born to a pregnant mother was the highest ever in that village.
Because the early...
They celebrated Senthil. They got him
Amazing.
To the village and isn't this India want?
Yes.
Okay. Because accessibility is most important. And you can't move from village to the hospital. The hospital must come to you. So this is like taking the hospital to
the
So what
door.
it does is very interesting. There are others also. I don't want to go into the detail, like breast cancer, like oral cancer and so on and so forth. I'll not go into that. There are 20 parameters: blood pressure, blood sugar, blood oxygen, hemoglobin, heart murmur, lung conditions. There are 20 parameters measured in 10 minutes. For how much? 100 rupees.
Which would cost me maybe...
Almost $1. Almost $1. And these are all high technology making work for the poor. So what we are now doing is that we will say this looks great, but how does India benefit from that? And I must say that we are taking the help of the government as well as this thing like Goa government is putting in, Orissa government has come in, Madhya Pradesh, they want to come in. Maharashtra later this month we are going to have, next month we are going to have meetings, etc. Of course, government is going to be a key player. But the corporates are coming to help, like Tata's. For example, Tata Power, what they are trying to do is get this to public health centers. Because our public health centers, are poorly equipped and shortage of funds and shortage of nurses, doctors, etc. You can get 20 parameters, number one. Number two, this is all on a digital platform now. Okay? That means same person can be tracked longitudinally. In fact, there is something funny that happened recently. Tata Power had created sort of a camp where 180 people, they were checked with FX Healthcare.
Okay.
And one gentleman came out of curiosity. He didn't want to get tested, he was just observing. Then my team said, why don't you also have test? So he was tested. And he had TB. And no symptoms. No symptoms.
Wow.
What does that mean? It is dangerous. Because he was passing on that TB to his family, to his friends and so on. So we immediately sent him to the hospital. And they found he had a TB. And he was immediately put on
The medication.
Same thing like this hemoglobin. As I said, this 60% of the children, immediately with the help of corporate social responsibility support, we give them a nutritional diet, and we are sort of monitoring them now and so on. You can see this is a live example of more from less for more. It is less because you are talking about $1, 10 rupees, 100 rupees. It is more because it is giving you results of high technology, all cleared by the regulatory agencies. And far more because it is reaching the unreached across India to the villages. That's the principle of more from less for more.
It's not only a deep thought, but the fact that this is now getting into execution is the more heartwarming.
Yes.
Right. Tell me, we heard Mukesh Ambani ji talking about that you actually kind of advised him and pushed him to get into deep tech. Is this the reason that you realize that unless there is a technology involved, we will not be able to reach masses? Or what was the thought or vision there?
Yeah, well, I would say Mukesh has been very gracious to me, and I have been on their board for 17 years.
Yes.
I chaired their Reliance Innovation Council, which are Nobel laureates, as a matter of fact, as members. I chaired their New Energy Council and so on. And I know that on 20 December, when I was felicitated for my 5400 doctorates, he was very gracious in saying what you said.
Yes.
No, but I think he himself is a practitioner. I would say the other way around. He has been my guru in a sense of getting more from less for more. I'll give you an example. For example, in this book, the very first chapter is on Jio. Because Jio is the best example of more from less for more. How?
Yeah.
Just see, we had 2G, 3G.
Correct.
No access to internet. Very, very expensive calls. Okay? What did he do? He brought in 4G LTE, which is a high technology. Nobody in the world had used it, but he went ahead for it. Excellence he brought. But then he made it affordable. 4 rupees per GB, voice free. That is where he started.
Yes.
Today we have 500 million customers. Okay? So it is more from less for more. So today you have this interesting scenario where a lady is driving a Mercedes on a mobile and a woman is sweeping a street on a mobile. Access equality,
Yes.
despite income inequality. So I think Jio is probably the best example. And we must understand what it has done for India. Because all this digital transformation that you talk about would not have been possible if there was no affordable excellence. Even when we talk about startups, even when we talk about unicorns, there is $1 billion market. Okay? And I very proudly say that until 2016, we had 1 unicorn per year. And in 2021, we had 1 unicorn per week.
Wow.
Almost. But 1/3 of those unicorns came from Tier 2, Tier 3 cities.
Yeah.
And
That's the main,
and that would not have been possible if there was no affordable excellence given by Jio. So as to say. Today, we are very proud about the payment, digital payment, the way we do it, and how it has gone around the world and how many countries are using it. Would not have been possible without that. It was only because it was affordable excellence. Both were important. Excellence was important, because otherwise you would not have internet access, you would not have. For example, now they have created this Jio Bharat mobile phone, which is just $12, but which gives you 4G, which allows you to watch a IPL match, which allows you to transfer money, which allows you to do everything. $12. People get shocked. In fact, I was in Silicon Valley and giving a keynote address there in the GMG Excellence Summit. And I mentioned about this and they were shocked that you can do something like this. You know, India is ranked so very highly, and how rapidly it is.
It is happening.
Yeah, how rapidly. For example, to get 50 million customers, you know, the telephone took 50 years and mobile took 12 years and Facebook took 2 years. 50 million customers he got in 83 days. So there is a speed, there is a scale, there is a sustainability. That's the first principle of more from less for more. And that is why in this book also, you see on the cover, I have Mukesh Ambani's quote. It says, more from less for more is more than a philosophy. It is a blueprint for the future of innovation and the inclusive growth. We are growing, but is it inclusive? This causes inclusive growth. And I'm very proud to say that people like Nobel laureate Kailash Satyarthi, he talks about the inspiring work of Anjani Mashelkar Foundation, highlighted here, offers practical human solutions that speak to the values of justice, equity, and hope for every child and every community. The world urgently needs this message. So MLM, according to this Nobel laureate, is a great message to the world.
To the world.
Because rising inequalities are causing social disharmony. This is the only way we can actually move forward.
But that's a very courageous thought to even, forget about implementing execution, even talking about that this is how it should be. You are trying to minimize the gap between both the sides. You just spoke about 54 doctorates.
Oh, yeah.
Sir, I am 54. जितनी मेरी उम्र है उतनी आपकी उपाधियां है. What is I know this is something but very unique thing. But again, what is the perspective it gives you whenever it comes, this honor gets adding up to your shelf, to your heart. What is the perspective it adds on?
Well, I must again give credit to my mother for this, frankly. Because what happened, our poverty I talked about. Every day we had to struggle for a job. We had to struggle for a job. Because not being educated, as you can see, the jobs are limited. So some teaching somewhere, some help somewhere and whatever. So she had gone and stood in a queue in what was called as Congress House at Prathana Samaj near Girgaon. And when her turn came, the person who was interviewing or giving jobs asked her, for this job you require third standard pass. Are you third standard pass? Now, never in her life she had lied. So she said, I never went to school. So where is the question of third standard? Now she could have lied because there is no certificate for third standard.
Saying yes would have got her, yeah.
So while coming back, she said to herself that, why am I insulted? Because I don't have education. So I'm going to make sure that my son had the highest education. I don't know what is the highest degree, but he's going to have that. So when I did my bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, I had a job. She said, no. I've heard that there is something called PhD, which is a higher degree. You must do that.
Wow.
So I went and did PhD. When I finished my PhD, she found there is a postdoctoral research. So she pushed me for that and so on. And I remember when I had got my 25th honorary doctorate, I went to her and I said, I got my 25th honorary doctorate. She said, now I'm happy. Now I can go. And strangely enough, On 17 November 2006, she passed within 3-4 weeks of this happening. So, when I received my 50th honorary doctorate, I dedicated it to her. And I said, she's no more, but she is everywhere as far as I'm concerned. She must be watching that and must be laughing that I did not get a job because I was not third standard pass. And my son is holding the national record of honorary doctorates today. You know? That gives him the feeling. So each time this happens, I remember her and the values she gave me and the way she actually pushed me. Also, these honorary doctorates have come from all around the world. You know, I remember South Africa, Pretoria University gave me an honorary doctorate. And they said, you'll be happy to know that we don't easily give honorary doctorate. But a few years ago, we gave to one person whom you must know and you must admire. Who is it? I said, Nelson Mandela.
Ah.
So, and I have nothing to do with South Africa.
But you were there on
getting it from London, getting it from US, getting it from some remote northeastern university for whom I have done nothing. You know, that's why I feel that this goodwill capital that I have built, I am the richest man in the world, as a matter of fact. Otherwise, how will this honor come to you?
The word goodwill capital. I personally believe in that one should be able to create and safeguard the goodwill, and that's all, and everything comes to you if you are able to do that. But the word goodwill capital actually is a very strong word. Now, when we talk of professional word, the corporate word, everything is based on the outcomes. Deliverables are more important than maybe the effort at times or maybe the knowledge at times. And actually, I have seen, sir, in my professional career that it would not matter if the goal is not reached. It would not matter how respected or liked you are by the team if you are not able to deliver what you are supposed to deliver. Where do you see this word goodwill in this context where performance equally matters for a leader?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'll turn the question around in a different way. You know, there is what is called as doing well and doing good. What does that mean? That means you make a lot of money and then one day you see, what did I do for the poor? And you create a trust, you create a foundation. Like Bill Gates. He made a lot of money and one day he created Bill Gates Foundation, which is a great foundation, by the way. Okay? But it was doing well and doing good. But there is something called doing well by doing good.
Wow.
That means doing good itself is a business. Like take Jio, for example. All right? Jio, is it profitable? Yes. Is it making money? Yes. But is it doing good to the people? Yes. You can see if you are a deaf person, for example, the only language in which you can communicate is
science.
Jio allows you to do that because data, even a poor can make a video call and talk to each other.
Yes, yes.
Making two deaf people talk to each other, is it not doing good? But by giving data at such a low cost, that is doing good. But that's a good business also, so as to see. So I think my point is, and that is what the paper C.K. Prahlad and I wrote. The paper is called Innovation's Holy Grail. More from less for more. And there what we are saying, and this is for the business world, where we tell them that as a matter of fact, doing good as a business itself is a great idea because you will not only give back to the society will progress and the benefits will flow back to you. Currently, the competition is like there's a given pie, market size, and you cut each other. What is my share? what is your share?
You're not looking to expand it, upscale it, upgrade it, nothing.
So what we are saying now is that expand your customers, reach the unreached, have a bigger pie, and automatically you will have a bigger share. So that requires a fundamental thinking in terms of change of attitude, aptitude, and the abilities that you will develop in creating products like this. And I'm very happy to say that that paper in July, August 2010 that we wrote, Innovation's Holy Grail, More from Less for More, has become among the top 10 must-read paper in innovation, basically. And immediately 6 months after that, the World Economic Forum had a session on More from Less for More. Because you look at the world today, the inequality, the social disharmony, and the breakups that are taking place is incredible. If Gandhi was needed, he is needed more today in this world than he did.
And that is what, when you speak about Gandhian engineering and his philosophy, why you say this, that he should have been alive today?
I say that because I see the world breaking up. You can see the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is gone.
It's gone.
You see, I would not want to name, but a most powerful country today, the way its president is breaking up the entire movement on globalization, small blocks of wars, people killing each other, they are just sort of going on. Empathy has taken a backstage today. Profit is the key.
Is the goal, is the thought.
So all the values that Mahatma Gandhi taught us are gone for a toss, basically. And even if you look at the other challenges, like what are the two greatest challenges we are going to have? The first is climate change. And the second is inequality. And for both, you required more from less for more. Like I said, Earth gives enough, but if you don't use it carefully, you will leave nothing for the rest of the
future to come.
Yeah, that's right. And therefore, it is not sustainable development, but sustainable consumption that is going to be critical, so as to say. We are throwaway societies, for example. That frugality that was basically in our culture, preserve, share, and the idea of not only you prospering, the whole world prospering, is gone for a toss, actually. You require a different sort of leadership. That takes me back to because finally leadership is the key.
Correct.
It takes me back to my childhood again.
Ji.
What happened was, I went to a municipal school, studied in Marathi. And then from 7th standard, 8th standard was a secondary school. I was not wearing any shoes, so we needed shoes, we needed uniform, we needed admission free. All put together came to 21 rupees.
But 21 rupees those days, 60s around.
A lot of time.
Yeah.
And it took my mother 21 days to get it, and we bought it. We borrowed it from sort of a maid who was working in a Gujarati family in Chowpatty. I remember that was her saving, as a matter of she gave it to me. By which time, admissions to good schools were all closed. And I went to a poor school called Union High School. Now, that school had, although poor, it had rich teachers. And among them was my science teacher, Bhave, Principal Bhave. He used to teach us science. And he did not believe in chalk and talk. But he would make us see things. Like, for example, soap making. He took us to the Hindustan Liver Factory in Sivri and showed how soap is made. Or he took us how to make matchboxes, the Wimco factory. That was my first traveling. And one day he took us out into the sun and he wanted to show how to find the focal length of a convex lens. So he had the lens here, he had the piece of paper here. He moved this up and down, and there was a brightest spot. Then he said, this distance is focal length. Then he held it for some time, and the paper burned. When the paper burned, for some reason, he turned to me, and he said, like this, if you focus all your energies without dissipating them, you can burn anything, you can achieve anything. That was the wow moment of my life.
Wow.
It taught me several lessons. As I grew, I saw one great lesson in that. This is your convex lens. Sun's rays are parallel. Okay?
Yes.
And what is the property of parallel lines? They never meet. They meet at infinity, as they say. What does the convex lens do? It makes them meet and create their power. Today, race, religion, language, caste, subcaste, we are all parallel. We require leadership which brings it all together.
There is no harmony.
Okay? Which brings all together. What does concave lens leadership do?
Wow.
Take them farther apart. So I think whether it is a local level, regional level, national level, and global level, we require convex lens leadership. And that's the lesson I learned myself. So therefore, when I became director of NCL, National Chemical Laboratory, I found inorganic chemistry division, organic chemistry division, polymer chemistry division, biochemistry division. Nobody talking to each other. I said, nothing doing. Team NCL, one NCL. You know, interdisciplinary research and getting everything. Then I became Director General of CSI,
Yes.
Council of Scientific Industrial Research, 40 national laboratories. National Chemical Laboratory, National Physical Laboratory, National Aeronautical Laboratory. No two laboratories talking to each other. In fact, competing with each other. And I remember I brought them together. To an extent, when I left as DG, there was one project on which 19 laboratories were working together. Not one or two.
19.
19.
It's an unheard of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember 11 May 1998 is a very memorable day on which we had directors meeting. All 40 directors were there. Dr. Murli Manoj Joshi
Was HR minister.
Adharaniya Joshi ji was our Minister of Science and Technology. And on that day, when the conference ended, they signed what is called as the Bangalore Declaration. And what was the Bangalore Declaration? Signed by all 40 labs. India matters to us. We want to matter to India more. All coming together. Transformation. So therefore, this CSR transformation has been recognized world over. In fact, Jayan Narlikar's book on scientific age recognizes this as among the top 10 achievements of Indian science. But amazingly, this lesson of convex lens leadership came to me from a simple experiment that my teacher had done in the school. That tells you the importance of great teachers in education.
It also tells us about the mindsets.
Yes.
And I remember you WhatsApped me a paper on mindset which you wrote years back, right? I want to talk to you more on that. Leadership, good teachers, vision, but everything matters on of course, the cultural upbringing, but mindset. In an era of everything getting into conflict, distorting itself, damaging itself, where do you see the mindsets going?
That is our biggest challenge. Actually, there is a continuous, that paper that I sent you was mind versus mindset.
Correct.
It has become very popular, by the way. It was translated in many languages. In Kannada, somebody translated it and distributed it among 5,000 people and so on and so forth. So, the basic thing that I mentioned there is that it is mind versus mindset. Our mind was so much forward that we talked about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. But in a conversation that I had with somebody, He said, tell me, what is 1 Japanese plus 1 Japanese? So I said, obviously 2. What a silly question. He said, no, 11. They mutually strengthen themselves. Then he said, what is 1 Indian plus 1 Indian? I said, obviously 2. He said, no, 0. They neutralize each other.
Wow.
That is our
That's
problem.
how yes.
So our mind says, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Our mindset makes 1 plus 1 equal to 0. And therefore, this entire idea of Team India, one CSR, that is actually the essence of the thing. And that is where leadership counts. So I describe it like this. When I did the CSR transformation, for example, what happens is that in life, purpose, perseverance and passion, these 3 are important things. Purpose, जैसे ध्रुव तारा होता है ना, वैसे होता है, it's the ultimate goal towards which everybody looks at. Okay? And therefore, a good leader makes alignment toward that purpose. Basically, everybody works through. So it is like this. Supposing I take a piece of paper and I have magnetic needles. They're all disoriented. Then I bring a magnet. They all align for the purpose. That magnet is like a purpose.
It's the leadership.
So this big purpose, like what our Honorable Prime Minister has said, Vikasit Bharat by 2047, or when he said Swachh Bharat, for example, gave a vision, basically. I myself was involved as a chairman of the committee to select, and he created that goal, and it was very courageous of him to speak from Lal Killa and talk about defecation and say that I want a defecation-free country. It happened. And he had given a target of 2019 by 5 years. And because I have been personally involved, I know the transformation that takes place. So I think that's a common goal. And magnetic leadership can actually align the country. Alignment is the most important. Whether you are in a company, each company has sort of a motto. Like, for example, Reliance has this motto of growth is life. Okay? And then growth is life, but they say also innovation-led growth.
Yes.
Okay? Because innovation is a way of life, so innovation-led growth. And that growth, they want exponential. Now, exponential growth you cannot get by incremental innovation. You have to have game-changing, disruptive innovation. So it is disruptive innovation-led exponential growth. You can see how the vision that was set up earlier, growth is life, Let's not forget that even Dhirubhai Ambani said, phone call at the cost of a postcard.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
The same vision was there.
Yes.
No?
Yes.
And Mukesh Bhai has done even better by making it free and then going to sort of billions of people.
As a leader, now as a single person, your mindsets are different. आप चीज़ों को लीड अलग तरीके से कर पा रहे हैं. कई बार ऐसा होता है ग्रुप में कोई एडवाइस मिलती है, कोई सजेशन मिलता है. I have personally faced this कि as a leader you still reach out to team कि अपनी कोई सजेशन दो, एडवाइस दो, and it fails. What you do? So a moment I would request you to recall जिसमें कोई a moment of an advice which failed and a moment of an advice which clicked supersonic speed.
Yes. Well, basically, there are many instances where one has sought an advice. But I'll tell you what I have considered myself is what your inner voice tells you is the best advice you can have. You can listen to the others. They say parachute works only when it is open. Mind is also like that. Mind also works when it is open. So you should be open to all ideas. That is where it begins, as a matter of fact. Now, how do you bring that openness? Because even accepting or rejecting advice, I'm going into the fundamental of an open mind. to start with.
Yes.
अगर वो नहीं होगा तो सवाल ही पैदा नहीं.
जी.
So I'll give you an instance. I say you learn every day and you learn from everyone. Okay? I'll tell you an interesting story. My granddaughter Ishwar, when she was 5 or 6, she was learning alphabets and she was going to school and all that. So in the morning, I'll be reading a newspaper and she'll be fooling around here and there. So I asked her, Ashwari, come sit down. I want to test your alphabets. So I took a piece of paper. I wrote on it D. She was here. She said D. I wrote B. She said B. And I kept on writing. She said. Then I wrote Z. And she said N. I said, no, beta, it is Z. She said, no, Abba, it is N.
Bangle.
Now, you can turn the paper around and see it from her.
Triangle.
So
Wow.
who was right? Both of us were right.
Right.
Depending upon the angle from which you looked at it. Okay? Now, I use this, by the way, in practice. For example, Microsoft and an Indian company had some big dispute. And unfortunately, that Indian company's CEO was even jailed and so many things happened, which was very unfortunate. So they decided that there should be some mediator who should bring them together and sort of bring the whole thing to a close. So there were 3 names, Anuaga, myself and Narayan Murthy. Finally, they went for me for some reason. Anyway, so I called for a meeting in the morning in a hotel on Marine Lines, I remember that hotel. 6 of Microsoft people came and that team came, Indian team came. Then what I did was, I narrated this Z and N story. I told the Indian guys, I said Microsoft is a big multinational with presence all around the world and they have certain obligations, certain limitations, some way of doing things and so on and so forth. So we must look at it from their perspective. And then I told these guys, these are Indian guys, okay? They have their own limitations, they have their own, etc., etc. Please look at it from there. In fact, I dramatized it by saying this fellow was put in Arthur Road jail in hot summer without fans, with mosquitoes. You can imagine what must have happened to him. Go through that pain and you will understand.
Emotionally up there.
Yeah. You know, so I talked about this Z and then I left. After about 3 hours or so, I got a call. They had resolved all the difference.
Wow.
Because any time the negotiations were breaking down, you know, they said, remember what Dr. Mashelkar said, Z and N, let us look at it from the other way. And this became so popular because I was on the Microsoft External Research Advisory Board. So I used to go to Redmond every year, basically, and I found that story had reached there, and they used to call it Zen. So I think at the end of the day, it is the open mind, ability to see it from other perspective. Actually, that will bring peace. That will bring harmony. That will bring solutions. Otherwise, you will continue to be the part of a problem, not part of a solution. I would put it that fundamentally.
Yes, so the way one should be looking at it. In current leadership, do you see this happening or do you see that they are more driven by the outcomes only?
I would say that everything is, like India is a land where there are islands of excellence. So for everything you can find what is very good. And for everything what you can find what is terrible, basically. So there are sort of exceptions to the rule. There are good people all around, as a matter of fact, But what happened in today's times, as you know, as somebody said, the news and noise. News without noise. Noise has become too much, unfortunately. I wish there was more of less of a noise, more of a signal, and more of a unity. Breaking news has become a big challenge because we want to be the first. And I have often said, why don't we have a good news channel? Why don't we have a good news newspaper where on the front page you put the good news? On the bad news you can put it
on the back burner.
Your morning should be sort of energizing.
Happy feeling.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what happens is that that is where I have developed the reputation of being a dangerous optimist.
Dangerous optimist.
In fact, Narayanmurthy, when I celebrated my 60 years, my National Chemical Laboratory celebrated it. In an open speech, he has said, and it is there in the writing, he said, he calls me Ramesh. He said, there is something about Ramesh. I'm really disturbed or this, etc. And if I disturb or something happens, Sudha tells me, why don't you call Ramesh?
Wow.
You will feel better. So I have sort of developed over a period of time because of maybe the way I've been brought up, positivity. I'll give you another anecdote in order to explain. For example, Delhi University, there will be always some challenge, some conflict going on. So the Physics Teachers Association had invited me as a chief guest. And at the end, they were going to go to the Vice Chancellor's office with a protest, with a jhanda and all that, etc. There were some grievances, apparently. So the person who introduced me, and he said, and ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we are all in coma, and Dr. Mashelkar will tell us what to do. So I had only 5 seconds to walk
and
to the podium and think. So I said, I think probably I did not hear him correctly. Probably he did not mean we are in a coma, but we are at a comma.
Wow.
And what does the comma do? You have written only half the sentence. Comma is a pause to look back and write the next sentence. Maybe the next one can be positive. The next line can be positive. The para can be positive. The page can be positive. The chapter
The entire
can be
narrative could change.
Entire narrative could change. Why don't we look at it like that? And then I went on my speech. Then I left. You know what happened? They met, they sat, and they said, let's rethink what Dr. Mashelkar said. And they dropped going and protesting. It's a way of looking at things, basically. When there is suddenly the lights go off and we start cursing the government. There is a darkness. But then there is someone who has the wisdom to go out and bring a candle. How do we develop that attitude? I think that is what life has taught me. Be a part of a solution. Never be a part of a problem. And I always tell students that for solving every problem, there are multiple solutions. That is another problem with our education system. That for every single problem, there is only one solution. And if you write that, you get full marks. That is not the case. In fact, that is the new generation that is coming up now. Jnana Prabodhini, which is a fantastic school here. I have been its president. And I remember addressing them. And I was trying to make this particular point. For every problem, be always a part of a solution. Never be a part of a problem. And for every problem, there will be multiple solutions. I said, here is a glass and there is a water. I want to take water out. How would you do it? The first girl was sitting there. She said, pour it out. The second was a naughty boy. He said, break the glass. Third said, put a tissue paper in. Fourth said, put it in the sun. It will evaporate. Fifth, remember the crow story, stones. And so on. So like that, I got 7-8 answers. And after that, it slowed down because obvious answers were given. I said there are 42 solutions to this. And anybody by evening sends me the maximum number of correct solutions. The first prize will be 5,000, second will be 2,500. Okay? And I gave my email ID and requested the teachers to help the students. Do you know, I got answers. And one girl said, "Sir, you asked for 42, I'm giving you 43.
Really?
Yeah. But they were not. Because
That's a way of looking at it.
Duplication. But the confidence. That is the generation we have, as a matter of fact. But at the same time, it worries me that there is India and there is Bharat. Okay? India is flying. What's happening to Bharat? Again, give me an anecdote. During COVID time, and that is where MLM comes in. Again, I'll explain to you. I'll come back to that. During COVID time, there is an organization called Swarup Vardhini, which looks at the education of the children and the poor and so on. So its vice president, Uday Gujar, brought his grandson to me during COVID time. And he said, "We have a problem with this child." I said, "What is the problem?" He said, "He knows everything." I said, "How can that be a problem?" I said, "Sit down. What is your favorite subject?" He said, "All subjects. You can ask me anything."
And how old?
8.
Wow.
8 years. Then I said, "No, let us go to biology." Because it was COVID time. I said, "What is the difference between bacteria and virus?" Perfect answer, 10 out of 10. Then I raised the bar. I said, "There is something called mutation." What is mutation? 10 out of 10.
Ah.
Then I raised the bar. I said, "That is what is called spike protein." What is spike protein? Not 10 out of 10, but almost 8 out of 10. He was nearby. Then we went into DNA and so on. And then I had my iPad. On the iPad, I had a photograph of my having breakfast with James Watson, the Nobel laureate, who along with Crick found the double helical structure of DNA. Okay, Nobel Prize. So I showed it to him. Who is he? He couldn't recognize him because maybe he was too old. Then I said, "James Watson." Immediately, Watson and Crick, they got the Nobel Prize. Yes. And then also there was a lady who had provided the fundamental data on X-ray diffraction by which they could recognize. She should have also got it.
That was his
8-year-old telling me this. Then I said, "You seem to know about Nobel laureates so much. Tell me which Nobel laureate has got 2 Nobel Prizes?" Marie Curie. Immediately, which year and for what? I said, "No, Linus Pauling also got 2. He said, "No, sir. You asked me for scientists. He got the first prize for science and second for peace." So I was shocked.
My God,
And
this is
8-year-old during COVID time,
yes,
when he's
yes.
not going to school, he's doing this. I asked his grandfather and father, "You two are not scientists. How come he knows so much?" He said, "No, we have just trusted him with Google. He watches YouTubes and his self-learning." Now this raises an important question. For students like this is the next gen, what kind of teachers will require? They can't be the chalk and talk fellows. Okay, that's a different matter. But now I'll tell you, this kid belongs to India because he has access to
Not to Bharat.
digital and everything. In the same week, I read a news that a 15-year-old girl near Satara has committed suicide. Why? She could not give online exam. Why? Because her parents were so poor that they could not afford to give her a mobile. Few kilometers away. This is India, Ved, and this is Shraddha.
Tragedy and irony, whatever.
That's the inequality I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And therefore, more from less for more. Therefore, Jio Bharat. If that $12 mobile was available at that point in time, maybe this would not have happened. Therefore, access equality despite income inequality. You see, this is such a fundamental issue. We cannot live with these inequalities.
Do you see more and more corporates thinking like this?
Yes, I think the corporate social responsibility, although perforce it has been forced on them, 2% of net profit, but that is doing a lot of good. We ourselves are partnering. I myself have chaired the CSR committees, etc., corporate social. But all of them are very keen that they make impact, not just write checks. And therefore, processes by which not only ideas, but impact. Like I was chairing the Tata Motors Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. And I said, let us see the cost to benefit ratios. And we had consultants like Ernst & Young prepare for us as to how to measure the cost to benefit ratio. And basically we found for every rupee that you invested, there was so much. Like on nutrition itself, I told that how important nutrition is for the brain development and all that. We could quite clearly see, and those systems have stayed now. So I think people are bringing more and more measures to see what is the impact.
When technology is there, but again the next question here is that the knowledge is to get degrees or jobs. Do you see that this knowledge is actually to be able to deliver this?
No, I think that is where our challenge of jobless growth.
Jobless growth.
And as you can see, the conditions on the ground are not what they should be. When I read that in a particular state which is not named, they are advertised for posts of lower division clerks. And when PhDs start applying for that, that's not what we need.
That's very unfortunate.
So therefore, I think we have to sort of look at this. We have to also see that things like AI will displace jobs, but they will create new jobs. That's the important part. Like I said, some of these devices.
You will need manpower too.
Yeah. So we have to look at it. It's like a weapon. It's a dual-use weapon. Like the rifle that was given to protect Mrs. Gandhi was used to kill her. It depends upon your own sort of mindset. So as far as AI is concerned, there's a big discussion. Oh, it's terrible. No. You have to be promotional as well as precautionary. In fact, I chair a committee on ethics in AI, basically.
Ethics in AI.
Yeah. Prabhat Kumarji, our former cabinet secretary, has created that committee. We just had the first meeting on how to sort of create this AI which will work for the good and sort of it's not just legal, it's a change of mindset, behavioral change and safeguards, guardrails, etc. How can you create that particular structure? So as far as the advanced technologies are concerned, they can do good as well as they can do bad. We have to look at how they can do good, like the examples I gave.
An 18-year-old Mashelkar of today, what direction you would choose? And I am again connecting it to that I need to earn money, I need to be away from FOMO.
Yeah, I have what I like to call as 5 Mashelkar mantras, if you like. I think the first is aspirations are your possibilities. Keep them high. Like young Gukesh, when he was 8, he said, I'll become a world champion. Youngest world champion. And he became one. Okay? So that's the first. Aiming low is a crime. Number 1. Number 2, I tell young people, you can do anything but not everything. So focus. And I told you the importance of focus already. Number 3 is purpose, perseverance and passion. Perseverance. Winners never quit. Quitters never win. Okay? But it must be for a big purpose. And you must do it passionately. Fail, F-A-I-L. First attempt in learning. As long as you learn from it. Your best guru is your last mistake. As long as you learn from it. Like why Chandrayaan 2 succeeded? Because Chandrayaan was a failure and they learned from it. In fact, in a couple of days' time, I am addressing ISRO, some young scientists and so on and so forth.
Wow.
So I am going to applaud them for this particular lesson that they taught us. How after failing they did not get discouraged, but succeeded by learning from it. That's the thing. The fourth lesson is you keep on knocking on the doors, they don't open. Create your own doors.
That's a very...
Now you will say, come on, explain that. I will explain. When I came back in 1976 from England, I came on a princely salary at that time of 21,000 rupees, 2,100 rupees per month, I remember. And India was a poor country. Not $2,500 GDP per capita. We didn't have foreign exchange, so we couldn't get foreign equipment and without scrutiny. And I needed an equipment called Weisenberg reagoniometer. Model R18, I still remember.
Oh.
But it would take me 2 years to get it. Why? DGTD clearance, not manufactured in India certificate and all that. So I was not getting that equipment. That door was not opening. I said, what is the equipment God has given? This. So I went into mathematical modeling and simulation, which required only this, okay, as a research area, okay. And I started my research in 77, and the highest science prize that you get in India is Bhatnagar Prize, below the age of 45. I got that in 82. Had I been waiting, had I not opened my own door, I would not have got it. All right? So that's my suggestion to young people. They get quickly frustrated. Basically, don't. So 1, 2, 3, 4 lessons. The fifth lesson, the final one. And I will explain that by again becoming big anecdotal. So I became fellow of Royal Society, FRS. Engineers don't get Nobel Prizes.
Yes.
The highest honor that they can get is something like FRS. And it's a great honor because you sign in the same book that Newton has signed, by the way. And from last 365 years that Royal Society has existed, there are 4 engineering scientists only who have signed in that book, engineering scientists. 3 of them are alive. One is myself and another one is Professor M.M. Sharma. Okay, the 2 are my guru.
Wow.
And so when I got it, I was thrilled. I called Professor Sena Rao, the Bharata Ratna, our greatest scientist, and told him I have become FRS. So I thought he will applaud, he will say something nice. You know what was his response? Not bad. So I was very... Then what happened was that there is American Academy of Arts and Science, which was created in 1780 and by George Washington and Benjamin Franklin. And it's considered as a top honor. And 200 Nobel laureates are its members. Charles Darwin to Winston Churchill, they are members, personality like that. And only 7 Indians from India have been
in the history.
Yeah. in all the 1760 onwards.
Yeah.
So I was the seventh one. So I called Professor Senarao and told him about this. Not bad. Again he said.
Still not bad.
Then I said the third or seventh doesn't work for him. And I became the first one to become, from India, fellow of US National Academy of Inventors. So I said, this is the first will work. So I called him. You know what was his message? Not bad. Then I got upset. I said, sir, what do I do so that you will be impressed? Then he gave me the lesson which I want to leave for those young people, for those 18-year-olds that you talked about. He said, Ramesh, you are climbing on a ladder of excellence, which is limitless. The only limit is what you put on yourself. Okay? What does it mean? It means no matter what you achieve, you must say, I can do better. Okay? So my advice to these 18-year-olds, whether they are 18 or 80, is in the morning when you get up, you should say, my best is yet to come, and today is the day it is going to come, whether it is 18 or 80. And you can imagine if 1.4 billion
Think
India
like
do
this.
that, where will India be? In the Committee of Nations, right up there. So these will be my 5 lessons.